Hi guys, I'm here today to talk to you about veils, humeral veils and vent veils. The thing about vent veils is they're often, I didn't even know what one was until I was hired to make one. And basically they're the same thing as a humeral veil, but they're used to, by the altar server to hold the bishop's crook, his staff, and his mitre. So in theory, you're going to do the same exact thing with vent veils as you're going to do with a humeral veil. But since I like to make these videos, I'll do a quick video about either, both, whatever. So basically what you're talking about is a long rectangular piece of fabric. Now, what I really want to hit on in this video is how to do the pockets. So it is perfectly acceptable to just cut out a rectangle and make a rectangle and just that be your pocket. So on the sisters at the House of Ephesus, on their instructions, they say cut a pocket that is 19 inches by 11 inches. Okay, so 11 inches will be the short part and 19 is going to be, the longer. It's going to go the length of the veil. So the way this works though is I personally like to see a pleated pocket, because when they put their hands in, then it kind of expands out and it gives them something to use to grab with. So I'm going to show you what a finished pleat looks like. So see, you can kind of see the pleats. Now the pleats are going to open up. See this opening? Open to the raw edge side. Okay, so this edge here is where they'll, this edge is finished. It will be sewn like a nice finished stitch. Okay, and then their hands go in this way. Okay, so feel free to pause, this might be backwards, but feel free to pause it and draw this out for yourself, because I'm going to show you with my little board here. I already drew it out for you, how I figured it out. Okay, so you're going to cut out a 19-inch by 18-inch rectangle, and then you're going to mark with, okay, so you can do the pleats before or after you hem the sides. So basically you're going to do a double turn in. You're going to do about 1/4 of an inch and then another 1/4 of an inch, so that you have a nice thin, see, okay, a nice thin hem. So in this particular one, I did the hem before, or I ironed in the hem before, but you can do it after you do your pleats. Doesn't really matter. It's all gonna get sewn down, so it doesn't matter either way. All right, so you want to first iron in a pleat at 3.5 inches from your hemmed edge. So where they're going to stick their hand in, that edge is going to be hemmed. The other side is going to go into the raw edge of your veil. So it's going to get sewn into the hem of the long edge of the veil. So it doesn't need to be hemmed. It's just the raw edge, okay? So from the hemmed edge, you want to measure in 3.5, okay? And then you want to iron it flat, all right? And you want that to iron out, here's my, for example, there's the inside of my pocket, right? Here's my hem. And I've ironed that down. I'm going to measure 3.5 inches down. So this here, this will be 3.5 inches down, and I'm going to iron that, okay? So that there will be a crease coming outward on the right side of my pocket. Okay, so 3.5 inches. And then you want to also measure down. So here's my hem. This is the right side of my pocket. I've measured down 3.5 inches, and I'll have a hem, a line there. And then I'll measure from here. I'll measure 10 inches down, and I'll have a crease there, like this. So I measure from my hemmed edge, 3.5 inches, and I mark it with pins. And then I measure from my edge 10 inches. Okay, 10 inches. And then I have pins there too. And then I just fold it and put a crease in both of those spaces. Okay. Now my little dotted lines are that's where I'm gonna put my pleat, my other hem. So basically, let me unpin it for you. Okay. See this? Here's my hem. 3.5 inches down is this guy right here. 1.5 inches after that, it's gonna fold backwards. See? All right? It's gonna fold backwards. So my pleats, these guys right here, are 1.5 inches, right? This is 1.5 inches from this pleat. So I've got my thing folded here. This is my 3.5, you can see this, my 3.5 inches, okay? And then what I did was I measured 1.5 inches down from that. See here, 1.5 inches down, and I marked it with a pin. And then I folded it again, like that. I folded it. Okay, and I pressed it. So that when my pocket is finished, hold on a second. So when my pocket is finished, okay, they open, these guys open to my seam, my inside raw edge. See that? These guys open backwards so that when they put their hand in there, it's opening outward like that, okay? So now that we've covered the pocket, which is actually the most complicated part of the whole thing, we can talk a little bit about what a vent veil is. So I have one, oddly enough, within a week, I got tasks to make 2 sets, so 2 and 2. I've already finished one set, but both sets are a little bit different. So this set is for the seminary. Okay, so this guy, I have my center seam, okay, in the middle back. This is I cut 18 inches wide, okay, and 48 inches long. And then for each veil, you're gonna cut 2 pieces like that, 18 inches wide, 48 inches long, okay? And then of course, we do our seam on a mirror. We mirror our seam, okay? And in this case, they wanted the singular seminary crest here in the center. So I embroidered it, and then I applied it on with my gold cord. I hand apply that on, okay? And then about between 18 and 20 inches from our center seam, all right? Now, imagine this is going around, okay, around the back of someone like this, okay? So when you look at it, the opposite side, so imagine this is the top, right? It's upright, and this would be the top. that's where our clasp is going to be. Okay, now with our clasp, I took a 2-inch piece, 2 by 2. I don't know where my little example piece went. All right, well, anyway, I took a 2 by 2, you can see it here, a 2 by 2 piece of canvas, and I covered it with my material, and then I fused it on and I hand stitched that little guy on. That's gonna give the clasp something to really hold on to, and it won't wear down your fabric, okay? So think about that for a humeral veil as well, that you always wanna add that little pocket or that little piece of canvas that's covered. Now if you'll notice, I cut it so that it was a continuous pattern. Okay, all right, so between here to the center of this clasp, it's between 18 and 20 inches down, okay? And then you're gonna wanna put your pocket, the start of your pocket, which will also be on the clasp side. So remember, upright, top of this is where your clasp will go and where your pocket goes. So pocket. Notice my pocket opens to the back. See? Let's look. It's on here. I slip my hands in. See this? This is that raw edge. It got put in the seam. See? So here's where my little squares, you can kind of see through it with the light. You can see it. And then just a couple inches down, about an inch, inch and a half down. So I think I want to say I did this one at 22 inches down is where your pocket goes. Okay? See this? All right. Now another thing to note, I used Dupioni on the inside of this because that's what matched it best. But if you look at this, the Dupioni grains go this way and the pocket grains go this way. All right? You want that to match. You don't want, you know, it going one way and another way. All right, and now the last thing is I cut my Dupioni nice and long. See that? All right, I put this 1 inch wide galloon, sorry, I lose my words sometimes, at the bottom. All right, nice and straight, and I'll finish this out once I get the clasp. I'm waiting to get the clasps in because I want to be able to reach up in there and sew this clasp on, like put my hand up in here like this and be able to sew the clasp on without dealing with this back and all that. So I haven't closed them up yet. This particular set, they don't want any fringe, so no fringe on this one. My other set that I'm doing, they do want fringe on, and I'm in the middle of burying that. Now, the other thing to note, okay, is for this vent veil, the other style would have, basically it would have a crest. Okay, so this is one of my test stitch outs. We determined this one was too small, okay? But just as an example, here's your clasp area, right? And they would have a crest on each side, okay, like this, okay? And that's gonna be about 17.5 or 18.5 inches down, centered here, about 17.5, 18 inches to the center, okay? That's about where that will go. And, you know, depending on how big this guy is, it's a little off-centered. So it's gonna be more towards the front, towards the clasp, then it's not center of this veil. See that? It's not going to be center. It's going to be off center just slightly. Okay? So those are the basics to making your vent veil or your humeral veil if you ever have to make one. I thought it would be advantageous for me to talk to you about these while I'm still in the middle of actually making them, rather than some other time, because I don't know when I'm going to be making a humeral veil next. So let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you soon.